A lonely, bitter British woman, Dr. Aletha Binney, comes across an old glass bottle. When she attempts to open it, she unleashes a powerful djinn who is to grant her 3 wishes. The djinn has a story of his own, however, as we find out his tragic past. This is 3,000 Years of Longing. 3,000 Years of Longing is the latest film from director George Miller. And once I heard that, I was immediately excited for this movie. I mean, he can't make a boring movie. He made Mad Max Fury Road. And this is part 2 of the Idris Elba double feature. If you haven't yet seen my review for Beast, please, after this review, please go back and check that one out. As I was saying, George Miller can't make a boring movie. And while I still stand by that, this movie doesn't feel as boring as it feels lost. Because sadly, I don't love you 3,000 Years of Longing, and that really depresses me to say. And all that really boils down to the film not knowing what it wants to be. Because the film tries to be 2 different movies in an hour and a half, and that just doesn't work. Let's start once again with the man of the hour, Idris Elba, who is playing the film's ever-impressive, long-contained, often imitated, but never duplicated, Genie of the Lamp. Or I guess in this film's admittedly more boring terminology, Gin of the Bottle. And no, that isn't to be confused with a bottle of gin. For what it's worth, Idris Elba is great in this movie, as you'd often expect him to be. He has a very powerful voice and powerful presence, too, as a genie, and he really delivers on that. And the stories he tells throughout the film are very investing. As far as live-action genie performances go, this might be one of the better ones. Hey! Never mind. You're better than him. Don't hurt me. Playing opposite Idris Elba's Genie is Tilda Swinton, who is also really good in this film too. I really enjoyed her character. She's a very lonely and bitter character, but she delivers on it very well. And I really enjoyed her chemistry with Idris Elba in the film. So where does this film go wrong? The film goes wrong when the film becomes just a series of short stories told by the Genie. I think he tells like 4 different stories in this film, all framed as exposition. And admittedly, it's a more interesting way to get the exposition out there. I was invested enough in these stories. However, they don't make for a very good movie, especially when the secondary story, the mild spoilers, the love story between Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba happens, the movie feels practically over. This feels like either 2 really good movies that would be really good 2 movies that are just crammed into one mediocre movie. But I was really invested in the Genie's story throughout time that I'm like, I almost wish I had more of that. But then I'm also like into the love story between the Genie and Tilda Swinton that could have carried its own movie too. I just don't know what to think about this movie because it just feels like a mishmash of everything you want to like, but it just doesn't go well together. There are also some inconsistencies with the movie. When the Genie first comes out of the bottle for Tilda Swinton, he's massive. His foot is sticking out of the door like it's a Dan Schneider bit on Nickelodeon. But for some reason, in the Genie stories, he's never that size again. I thought that was bit inconsistent. I'm like, why were you that big if you knew early on in life that you didn't need to be that big? This is an issue that bothers me and only me and does not affect the movie itself. It would not have made the movie any better or worse if it was consistent, but it was definitely something that stuck out to me. There were also some things introduced early on in the movie that never come back into play. Visuals, I guess the movie does look nice, but from the trailer, I was expecting me to think that George Miller was on some LSD of some kind, but that was not the case. I felt the film was very lacking in the visuals department. It could have looked so much cooler, but it didn't. In the end, this is really one of my biggest disappointments of the year. It's not a movie I would call bad, it's just a movie I would call lost. That's literally the best word I can use to describe it. It didn't know if it wanted to be a genie's journey, spelled with 2 G's, or a romance movie between a woman and a genie, and it just didn't work well together. Again, there are some redeeming qualities to the movie, like Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton being a solid duo in this film, and some of the stories being investing, but it just doesn't come off as a good movie. This would have been a solid miniseries on HBO Max. Never mind that's going down the shitter. This could have been a solid miniseries on Amazon or something, but instead we got a rather rushed hour-and-a-half movie. Sadly, this is not a recommendation from me. I saw one of those commercials for this movie that have critic quotes in them, one of them calling this Aladdin for adults.
It's Aladdin for adults.
I would watch Aladdin 10 times over this movie, even the live-action one.
Yeah!
He gets it. Thank you all for watching this review. And remember, this is part 2 of the Idris Elba double feature. Click up top to watch the review for Beast, if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this review, please consider hitting that like button. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Until next time, I'm Quint Dunaway, hoping you will keep it cinematic.